This is Gemara Baba Metziah Daf Lamed Beis. We pick it up on the bottom of Lamed Aleph Amid Beis. We're on the first wide line. Hayabatal min asela lo yoymar lo tenli sela. If in the course of returning the Aveda, he would be batal from doing work that he would have made a sela's worth of money. Lo yomer lo, he should not say to the owner, tenli sela. Rather, he just gets paid like a poil batel. Says the Gemara Tanan, noisin lo scharoi, ke poil batel. My ke poil batel. What does that mean? Amar Abaya, ke poil batel shall oisai melacha de batel mimenu. What does it mean? Like a poil batel. What it means is, says the Gemara, like a worker who wanted to be batal, that instead of doing a certain type of work, if you look at Rashi about 8 lines to the end of the Amid, Rashi says, Kama Adam how much would a person take? And how much would he detract from his wages? And not have to do the difficult work that he's in the middle of doing. And rather, and do an easier type of work like this. That is the amount of money he would get paid. And we continue with the Gemara. 3 lines from the bottom. Isham Bezdin Masnim Bifnehem. Says the Gemara, Isser v'Rav Safra Avediska Badi Adadi. Those were 2 people's names. Isser and Rav Safra did business together. Azul Rav Safra Poliglei Beloi Daite de Isser. Rav Safra went and he divided up the merchandise without the das of Isser Bape Bei Trey in front of 2 people. Asli Kamei de Rabba Ravuna Amar Le Zelaisi Tlasa De Polgas Kamayu. Rabbi said to him, go bring 3 people who you did the division in front of. Inami, or else if you can't bring 3 people that you did the division in front of, as we turn over to Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, Trey Migoy Tlasa. 2 of the 3 people, and the 2 people could testify that they were part of a 3-person Bezdin, that you did the division in front of. The Gemara is proving, like we said in our Mishnah, that if one would want to do such, it would have to be in front of a Bezdin, it would have to be in front of 3 people. Continues the Gemara in the top line of Lamed Beis Amud Aleph, Vinami, or else the third option, Trei Sadi, De Paglis Bape Bei Tlasa. 2 other people that know that he said this in front of 3 people. So Amar Le, Rav Safra says, Menalach Chaha, where do you know this from? Amar Le, he responds to Tanan, our Mishnah. Im Yesham Bezdin Masab Bifnei, Ain Sham Bezdin Bifnei Miyasne. Shalai Kaidem. He comes first. What do we see? We see that you need a Bezdin. Amar Le, what's your raya? Me dummy. Hasab the Babik Mimoina Meha, you Moisiv Lahai. Being on Bezdin, in the case of the Mishnah, you're taking money from person A and you're giving it to person B. The finder is demanding money for returning the lost object, and that's the reason why you need a proper Bezdin. But here in our case, the Dei Shakel, he's taking his own object. He's not taking anything more, and therefore, Gilim El Sabam Trey Sagile, and therefore with 2 people it suffices. And that's the reason why, indeed, when Isra and Rav Safra split up the business and Rav Safra wanted to do something on his own, he did it in front of 2 people, and it merely was taking his share. He wasn't taking and giving from his own. Teida says the Gemara, I'll bring you a rai. Titinan, we learned in the Mishnah, Almana could sell property of her deceased husband's estate, Shaloi B'fnei Bezdin, not in front of Bezdin. Amrle Abayo. V'lami Yitzmar Allah, do we not learn? Amrav Yezbar Minumi, Amrav Nachman, Almana Eino Yitzricha Bezdin Shal Mumchin. But clearly, Avosricha Bezdin Shal Adyaita is if we don't have a raya from Almana. But the Gemara sticks to its own that Lamaisa, that we could learn that our Mishnah is not a raya, because our Mishnah is taking from one person and giving to the next, and not merely revealing whose portion it is. Continue from the Mishnah Lamed Beis Amud Aleph. Matzah berefes ein chayiv ba, bershus rabim chayiv ba. If you find an animal in a barn, one does not have to retrieve it and return it because you have no reason to assume it was lost. Whereas Rishasarabim Chayaba. And you're a kayin, you don't have to come tummy to return the object. And Amr Lay Aviv, his father says, Itame, Oshamr Lay Al Tachzir. Lo Yishma Lo, you don't have to listen to your father when it's going contrary to the Torah. Parak Vitar and Parak Tata, and Afilu Arba V'chamisha Pamim, you load it, unload it even 4 or 5 times. Chayiv, you have to continue doing such. And Emar, a pasuk that we quoted the other day, Azoiv to Azoiv, you have to surely help, teaching us even many times. Halach v'yashav loy. Excuse me. Halach v'yashav loy. If what happened is he went and he sat down, you're in the middle of helping this guy's animal, and the owner just goes and he's chilling on the side, V'amar. And the owner says, listen, you have a mitzvah to help me. So then Allah is potter. If the owner is not going to help, you do not have to do it for him. Shenemar, azoiv to azoiv, imai with him. And mayazakin achayle chayiv, mitzvah min ater lifroik avalo yitoin. Midaraisa, the mitzvah is only to do Prika, to unload and not to load. Rav Shimon Aimer Aflitin even to load. Rav Yisrael Lili Aimer Mayalav Yeser Al Masai Ein Zakik Lo. If he had a burden that was too much that he wasn't really able to carry, then you don't have to help him. Shnamar Tachas Masai Masai Shachalamed Boy. Only a load that he was able to carry, and not if he's carrying too much. We continue with the Gemara, discussing the first part of the Mishnah, which was that if an animal is lost in a refes, you do not have to return it to its owner. Amar Rava, begins Rava and teaches refes sha'amru, this refes, this barn that we're discussing, einai mate ve'einai mishameres. It's a barn that do not incite the animal to run away. Ve'einai mishameres, nor does it protect the animal. It's a middle ground. Explains Rava, you're not obligated to return it. Clearly, the animal's not going to run away. For the fact that we should teach such a case must be that the area is not watched, because the area is guarded. Well, the chiddush, of course, don't have to do anything. The animal's perfectly fine. If you find the animal outside, you have to return it. Like would you have to say such a case? The case must be the animal is not watched, and that is the chiddush of the Mishnah, that because it's in a place that's not going to run away, therefore you're still not obligated to deal with it. 4 lines. The medium-sized line continues the Gemara. Matzah berefes ein chayiv. Amar Rav Yitzchak v'Sheimedes toich l'tchom. The animal has to be within a tchom. Mechlal. From here we could deduce that Rishasharam if you live b'toich tchom nami chayiv. Ika demasla seif. On the end of the Mishnah, Rishasharam chayiv bon. On that din. Amar Rav Yitzchak, when are you chayiv? V'Sheimedes chutz l'tchom. Mechlal berefes if you live b'toich chutz l'tchom. Nami ein chayiv. The exact flip case. And we continue on the second medium-sized line. B'beis hakvaros. Lo yitame lo tanurabanon. Continues explaining the Gemara. Minayin, how do we know? Your father tells you to become tummy or not to return the object. How do we know? From here we learn out father, mother, and person. Time to go to Rachmana Shabsai Tishmairu. Listen to the father. Vamai says the Gemara. Why do we need a special pasuk to teach us not to listen to the parent? Hayasei, vayloisa sevasei, and therefore pashit losia sevidachis loisa sevasei. So what would the havamina be to listen? Says the Gemara. I would have thought hayol v'hukash kibbut have. Since the pasuk puts them together, from your wealth. So from there, I would think maybe litzayis lay. Maybe there's a higher level you have to listen, even though it's an asay. Normally, losi asay v'dachi is asay v'lois asay. Kamash malah, and that's good for the chedesh. That lamaisa, you do not have to listen. We continue. We're on the first wide line, very wide line. Says the Gemara, mitzvah minatayra lifroig. There's a mitzvah deraisa to unload the animal. Not to load it on. My avalot. What does that mean? Elim avlot klal, you have to load up at all. Maishna prika. Why? Why would you not have to load it up? When it comes to prika, Tichsev says the Torah, Zayv Tazayv Yimai. Tina Nam Yoksev, Akitagi Mimai. Ella rather explains the Gemara, Mitzvah min ha-Torah lifroit bechinam. However, you don't have to load up the animal for no money. Ella bischar. Rav Shimon Aimer. Af litoin bechinam. Tina laten rabbanon araya. Prika bechinam. Tina bischar. Shimon Aimer zu bezu bechinam. My time mayu derabbanon. Where the rabbanon get their dindis. I got to curve Shimon 5 lines from the bottom. Therefore, I would have said lechtorachmanatina. I would have said, when it comes to ina, it comes loading up the animal, there's no tsar, like chazar kiss doesn't cost you any money. When it comes to unloading, which is a higher level. Why? The animal's being crushed by its load, the chazar kiss. Like kol shekain. So ella l'mayachs like kasei rachmana. Why does Torah write it? Loymar lecha, to teach us a new din. The Torah had to explicate the din about tina, din about prika, teach us something else, even though ostensibly be'etzem you could learn one from the other, but rather it teaches us 3 lines to the bottom. Prika bechinam, whereas tina v'schar. Rav Shimon my taima. Mishum z'lam Mesai mikra. It's not explicit in the pasuk. V'rabbanan amayim Mesai mikra. Ch'ksev Rav Yitzchak Masayos. Ch'ksev Neiflim Adarech. Duramu inu to know about or Mashma Rav Shimon. So how does Rav Shimon answer? The Chum seemingly have an explicit pasuk that the animal is being crushed under its load. Neiflim Adarech inu utunayu alayu mashma. Says the Rav Shimon, the case is seemingly implying Neiflim Adarech that what? The animal's lying in the road and the burden is on it. That's the only case that we can learn from it. Amar Rava. Says Rava as we turn over to Lamebez and Mebez. Medivrei Shnehem. From the aforementioned Machlaikas, we have the opinion of the Chachamim, we have the opinion of Rav Shimon. Comes along the Gemara, comes along Rava, and he explains Medivrei Shnehem. We can learn out. Nilmatzar Balei Chayim Derais. It would seem that one detail which is not debated, as the top Rashi points out, Medikami Tarvayo Prika Adifa, sounds like everyone concludes that the element of animal pain, that is a din daraisa. Va'afilu Rav Shimon like ka'amar. In what aspect was Rav Shimon arguing only? Al misham zelo mesai mikra, it's not explicit. Aval mesai mikra darshinan kalva chaymer. Misham darshina kalva chaymer. Misham mai, where the kalva chaymer come from? La misham sar belechayim. Darshinan, it would seemingly be because Dar B'Lechaim is a Darais, and therefore you'd always have a heavier hand when the animal is in pain. So proves the Gemara that seemingly from here we have a Raya. An age-old question that Dar B'Lechaim is indeed a Daraisa. Responds the Gemara Lambezim and Beis 5 lines down. Dimul Misham Dika Chesarin Kiss. Says the Gemara, not necessarily. Maybe the reason why it's more important to unload the animal is because it involves a monetary loss. And this is the Chiddush. When it comes to Tina, there's no loss caused if the animal's not loaded. Meaning, when it comes to unloading, the animal's getting damaged. When it comes to loading, like Chesarin Kiss, breaking this with Chesarin Kiss, like Kolshkein, Utina in Chesarin Kiss, says more 1 second. What's going on over here? Why are you assuming that Tina loading up the animal doesn't involve a loss? So we said maybe on a very simplistic level, it means that the animal's not suffering, so the animal's not getting damaged. Says no, it's not what it means. That's Tsar. What's the Chesarin Kiss? Chesarin Kiss is very simple. You have to go and bring the wares to the market. So as the Gemara loading it up as well should involve such a loss. Or we should be nervous that none of them are going to come and take away your items. Whatever you have with it. So says the Gemara, why are you saying there's no Chesarin Kiss? There seemingly is as well Chesarin Kiss from by Te'ina. And the Gemara proves this Teida. We could indeed prove. That's up. No, excuse me. We just said that maybe because of Chesarin Kiss, That's the reason there's no riot to Sar Balechayim. To that we responded that Te'ina, what do you mean it does involve Chasar and Kiss? There's no riot. So the Gemara goes full circle and says, okay, let's go back to original discussion of Sar Balechayim. Teida, bring your riot to the Raisa. Tekatani Sefer of Yesikli Aimer, Mayolav Yesra al Masai, if it's more than his load upon him, Ein Zakik Leishanemar Tachas Masai, Masai Shech Lamed Boy. What's the inference from Rav Yosi? The Tanakama suffer that Zakuk, even though it's too large of a load. My time, what the reason be? Lam Nisham. Titzar Balechayim Daraisa. Says the Gemara, maybe not. Dilma, perhaps what's going on over here? Betachas Masai Pligi. Maybe they argue, what does the pasuk mean? There is he suffered Darshin Tachas Masai, Masai Shechalamud Boy. So says the Gemara again, we do not necessarily have a raya. And Teda, let's bring a raya to which we just said is true. Ditzar Balechayim love the Raisa. So says the Gemara, let's flip it around. Seemingly we have Karev raya the other way. Diktani Reish Halach Liashav Live, Amr Lai Hayav Alech Limsei Plifrei Paruk. Pater Shnamar Ima. If the owner says, you go do yours, I'm going to hang out on the side. We said you're Pater because the pasuk says Ima. Says the Gemara, V'sachal Sar Balechayim is deraisa. Mali Isalamari Behadei. Mali Kilas Salamari Behadei. Who cares if the owner's helping you? Lo, I love Sar Balechayim deraisa. Says the Gemara, a beautiful, simple raya. If Sar Balechayim were to have been a deraisa, then how could there be a patur that the owner is not helping you? Who cares about the owner? The animal itself is in pain. Says the Gemara, Mi Savr is Potter Ligamri, Delma Potter Bechina Vachayev Ischar, V'hachi Kamerachmana. Ki say the Mara Behedi when the owner is with you. Avad Gabe Bechinam, then you have an obligation to help him for free. Chilas say the Mara Behedi, Avad Gabe Ischar, Paloilam, Sar Belechayev, Vischar. So says the Gemara, okay, we should bring a raya lav deraisa, we refuted that. So the Gemara circles full circle and concludes, really, Sar Balechayim is indeed a deraisa, and that is conclusive. So we conclude today's shir, 5 lines from the white lines that the Gemara says, Lema Misayeh Alei. Let us bring a raya to this sheet of Rava that indeed Sar Balechayim is a din deraisa. Behemas akom metabel ba kebehemis Yisrael. Says the Gemara, you have to deal with a behema of a guy like a Yiddish, a behema yam b'shamar Sar Balechayim deraisa. B'shamachim metabel ba kebehemis Yisrael makes sense. Why are you dealing with the animal of the guy like the animal of a Yid? So explains the Gemara, no raya. You know why? Also, there'll be hatred with the Goyim. Hachanam Mistavra says the Gemara, this is logical. They can tell you, Maisatuna Yayin. Also, if he's laden with forbidden wine, in Zakakloi. So yeah, because he's carrying forbidden goods, you don't have to help him. Eliyamer deraisa, if the Sar Balechayim is deraisa, Amayin is Zakakloi. Why would you not have to help him? Says the Gemara, again, no raya del ta'ina ayin aser ein zakin, to help him load up aser wine. That is what we said, ein zakuk loy. And we go a job further to Shema, continuing trying to prove is Sar Balechayim deraisa derabbanan. One more raya, says the Gemara, 5 lines into the very wide line, Sar Balechayim is deraisa. Says the Raisa behemas akom umasoi Yisrael. We have an animal of a guy and the package is Jewish, v'chadalta. Then we apply the pasuk, you can refrain, meaning you don't have to help the guy. V'yamr Sar Balechayim deraisa, my v'chadalta, why do you have to help him? Ozav tazaymi violation, surely you have to help him. So seemingly Sar Balechayim lav deraisa. Says the Gemara, no. Lo'ilam, really, I'll tell you. Sar Balechayim is indeed a deraisa. Also, Betin, I'm talking about loading up the animal. Yachim, see for the end of the Braisa says, Behemas Yisrael u'masoyakom, a flip case azoif ta'azoif. But 1 second, v'betina ma'azoif ta'azoif. Misham Sar di Yisrael. So the Gemara Yachim, the Reisha Nami, should be the same din. Reisha bechamar akom, seva bechamar Yisrael. My posca says Gemara, the classical kasha. How do you know? Stama demelsa inshi basar chamrei azil. The people are like their animals. A Jewish animal will be like such. Says the Gemara, what do you mean? But Azoiv to Azoiv and Chadalta are both written by Prika, not by Ti'ina, only by unloading. Amalei Amani Risik Lili Damar Sar Balechayim Lav Dereis. That Brace is going with the Risik Lili. Therefore, there are no kashos. We'll pick it up from here, continuing to try to prove whether